This is Elvis. He was in college, and now he has completed his studies and returned home. This is his mother, and she is the boss here. The next day, Elvis's mother was speaking to a housemaid who had brought her daughter to take over the job on her behalf because she had found an opportunity at another house. The housemaid praised her daughter, saying she was hardworking and had no issues. The new girl's name was Princess. The boss agreed and told her to start working. As Elvis was coming down the stairs, he met Princess. They introduced themselves and got acquainted. Princess wanted to leave. Elvis asked, "How is your mother doing?" "She used to work here." Princess replied, "She is doing well. I am Evans, and this is Nollywood Recapped." Later, Elvis's girlfriend Vanessa arrived and met Princess outside. She asked, "Who are you?" Princess replied, "I am the housemaid here." Vanessa said, "I was used to the previous worker. She was a bit older, but you are still young." She then turned and walked inside. Princess asked, "Excuse me, who are you looking for?" Vanessa turned back and said, "Listen, this is my mother-in-law's house. I come here anytime I want, and I expect you to focus only on your work." Princess decided to go back inside. Elvis, thinking it was his girlfriend, tried to startle her, but he mistakenly startled Princess. Shocked, Princess accidentally slapped him. As she was apologizing, Vanessa appeared and asked, "Why did you hit him?" Elvis replied, "I thought it was you, so I tried to startle her." Princess apologized repeatedly. Vanessa said, "Fine, you can leave now." Princess stepped aside and left. Vanessa moved closer to Elvis and asked, "Babe, why did you lie to me that today was your arrival date in Nigeria?" Elvis replied, "I wanted to surprise you." Vanessa pulled him close, but Elvis's reaction showed he no longer had feelings for her. Later, Elvis and Princess had a conversation. Elvis apologized for what happened the previous day. Princess wasn't hurt, but she was upset. As a way of making up for it, Elvis offered to help with the house chores. They cleaned together. After finishing, they sat on the stairs. Tired, Elvis asked, "How did you end up working as a housemaid?" Before Princess could answer, they heard the boss's voice outside, and she quickly ran off. The boss entered and found her son looking exhausted. She asked, "Why are you sweating like this?" Elvis replied, "I helped Princess clean the house." His mother got angry and called Princess. She said, "Are your duties overwhelming you? This is my final warning. Do not involve my son in your cleaning tasks. Even if he offers to help, do not accept. Understood?" Princess replied, "Yes, ma'am. I understand, and I promise it won't happen again." Elvis's mother then walked away. That night, Princess was at home. Her mother thanked her for her hard work and encouraged her that one day they would succeed. Princess reassured her mother that she was not ashamed to help out with work. They hugged. Meanwhile, Vanessa, Elvis, and his mother were making wedding plans. However, there was still tension between them, as Vanessa seemed to be making all the decisions without consulting Elvis, her fiancé. The next morning, Princess woke up to find herself in Elvis's bed. Shocked, she quickly got up and went to the living room, where she found Elvis. She asked, "How did I end up in your room?" Elvis replied, "You fell asleep on the couch because you were so exhausted, so I took you to bed." Princess looked around and noticed the house was spotless. She asked, "Did you also clean?" Elvis said, "Yes, I even washed the dishes." Princess was so grateful that she kissed Elvis on the cheek. Elvis turned and they were about to kiss again when suddenly, clapping sounds interrupted them. Vanessa had arrived. Vanessa exclaimed, "So this is why the maid is working overtime." Elvis said, "It's not what you think." Vanessa responded, "Then what is it? And you? Leave now. I will make sure you never set foot in this house again." The matter reached the boss. Elvis's mother asked him about his relationship with Princess, and Elvis defended her. Later, the boss called Princess's mother and said, "Your daughter has broken workplace rules. Therefore, from today, she is fired." Princess's mother knelt and begged for forgiveness, but the boss ignored her and walked away. Back at home, Princess's mother broke the news that the boss had fired her. Princess was devastated, but her mother reassured her that they would survive because she still had a job. The next day, Princess's mother went to continue with her work. Then Elvis approached her and asked, "Where is Princess? You left her in charge of cleaning, didn't you?" Princess's mother replied, "She's around. She'll come soon. Everything is fine. Don't worry. Elvis then left, and Princess's mother continued with her work. Later, after finishing her tasks, Elvis offered to give her a ride home. Meanwhile, on the other side, Princess stepped out of the bathroom, wrapped in a towel, to answer a phone call in the living room. At that exact moment, her mother entered the house with Elvis. Seeing them, Princess quickly ran back to her room. After getting dressed, she returned to the living room and found Elvis there. They started chatting. Princess said, "You're the reason I didn't come to your house today," Elvis asked. "Or is it because of—" Princess cut him off. "Don't talk about that," Elvis said. "I really want you to come home, but not as a housemaid. I want you to come as my friend." Elvis expressed how much he enjoyed her company. Princess admitted she enjoyed it too, but insisted she couldn't go to his house. Elvis asked, "Is it because of Vanessa?" Princess replied, "No, it's not about that. I just don't want to be the cause of conflict between you and your mother." Elvis suggested taking her out, but Princess hesitated, saying it wasn't a good idea. However, she asked him to wait a moment. She went on her room, and later her mother came. Her mother said, "I'm sorry, we didn't prepare anything for you." Elvis replied, "Don't worry, Mama, it's okay. But can you help me convince Princess to come home this Sunday?" Her mother sighed and said, "That depends on your mother. She said she doesn't want to see Princess in your house again." Elvis was surprised. "Why?" her mother replied, "I don't know. Let me get you some water." Later, Elvis took Princess out to an art gallery. They admired the artwork and had a great time. They sat down, talked, and got to know each other better. Afterward, Elvis returned home and found his mother having a meal. He asked, "Why did you forbid Princess from coming to our house?" His mother responded, "This is my house." Elvis argued she was only helping her mother with work. His mother scoffed. "Helping her mother, or was she after you?" Elvis declared, "I love Princess." His mother was silent for a moment. Then she tried to convince him otherwise, saying, "You don't love her, you're just infatuated." Elvis replied, "If being infatuated means loving her, then I'm completely lost in love." His mother asked, "What about Vanessa? Have you forgotten that you're supposed to marry her?" Elvis said, "When it comes to matters of the heart, it's best to let a person decide for themselves." He then walked away. From that moment on, Elvis spent a lot of time with Princess. They played games and bonded even more. Meanwhile, Princess's mother was cleaning when her boss came downstairs and started talking to her. The boss said, "If you help me with something, I'll give you a lot of money. You won't have to work as a housemaid anymore." Princess's mother asked, "Really? Tell me what it is. As long as it's nothing bad, I'll do it." The boss smirked. "I want you to convince your daughter to stay away from my son." Princess's mother was shocked. "I can't do that. It's too difficult for me." Back to Elvis and Princess. They were still chatting when Princess's mother returned from work. She greeted them and went inside. Elvis then said goodbye, and as he was leaving, Princess hugged him and walked him to the door. Later that night, Princess's mother told her about the conversation with Elvis's mother, but Princess reassured her, "Elvis and I don't have romantic feelings for each other, so there's nothing to worry about." Her mother advised her to be careful. Then they went to bed. The next day, Vanessa was complaining that she no longer understood Elvis. Her future mother-in-law just reassured her. At that time, Elvis and Princess were sitting in the car outside Elvis's house, waiting for her mother so they could give her a ride home before continuing with their plans. However, Princess felt uncomfortable staying there for too long. Inside, her mother was finishing up her work. Princess decided to call her, but the conversation didn't go well, and the call ended abruptly. Meanwhile, Vanessa had just finished speaking with her future mother-in-law and was leaving. Coincidentally, Princess's mother was also leaving work. She walked ahead, while Vanessa followed behind. Vanessa glanced outside and saw Elvis's car. She immediately ran over angrily and started confronting him. Vanessa shouted, "So, out of all the women in this city, you chose to flirt with the housemaid, huh?" Elvis tried to respond, but Vanessa slapped him and continued her rant. Elvis then told Princess's mother to get in the car and they drove away. The next day, Vanessa went to see Elvis, complaining about how much he had changed. She asked, "Do you love me or not?" Elvis replied, "No, I don't have feelings for you, and I have no plans to marry you." Vanessa, now speaking more calmly, asked, "So you don't want me anymore?" Elvis said, "That's right. I don't want to marry you. Move on with your life." Vanessa was stunned and tried to plead with Elvis to reconsider. At the same time, Elvis's mother had ordered that Princess's mother should no longer be allowed into the house. The guard was following orders. However, Elvis saw what was happening. He instructed the guard to let her in and continue her work. Later, when the boss returned home, she found Princess's mother inside. She immediately questioned the guard. "How did she get in?" The guard replied, "Boss, your son allowed her in." The boss snapped, "If my son wasn't involved in this, you'd be out of a job right now." She then stormed off. When she got inside, Elvis followed her, furious. He confronted her. "First, you kicked her daughter out, and that wasn't enough. Now you've gone as far as firing her mother as well? That was the only job she had, the only thing she relied on. I wonder how you sleep at night, knowing you've left a widow without a job." His mother turned to him and said, "Ooh, I'll sleep just fine, because I've gotten rid of the people who were ruining you." Elvis shook his head and said, "Have a good evening." He turned and walked away. Meanwhile, Princess was blaming herself, feeling that everything happening was her fault. Her mother reassured her, "This is not your fault." They comforted each other. The next morning, Elvis arrived at Princess's home. He handed her a small envelope. When she opened it, her eyes widened. It was a bank check for 15 million naira. Elvis said, "This is the best I can do for now to help you and your mother start a business and move forward with life." Princess was overwhelmed. "Thank you so much. If my mother were here, she would faint from joy. We truly appreciate it. But I can't take this money." Elvis was surprised. "Why not?" Princess explained, "First, my mother should be here for this. But secondly, it's better if I earn my own money." Elvis was shocked. "I honestly don't understand you. Most girls in your position wouldn't even hesitate to take this kind of money." But Princess remained firm. She refused to accept the money. Later, Elvis returned home and found Vanessa waiting for him. She was upset. "What have I done wrong?" she complained. Instead of responding, Elvis walked out of the room. Vanessa, left alone, began searching the room. As she went through his belongings, she found the check, still written in Princess's name. She took it. Sometime later, Vanessa, Elvis's mother, and Elvis were having a meeting to discuss wedding plans. As they went over the details, Elvis suddenly stood up and walked out. They were stunned, unable to believe that he had just left like that. Vanessa smirked. "I know exactly what his problem is." Elvis's mother asked, "And what is it?" Vanessa reached into her purse and pulled out the check. She handed it to Elvis's mother. Elvis's mother was shocked. Vanessa said, "I have a plan." And just like that, the plan was set in motion. Meanwhile, Princess's mother received an unexpected message from Elvis's mother. She apologized for everything that had happened and even asked her to return to work. Not only that, but her salary would be doubled. This brought joy to Princess and her mother. Life continued. Elvis and Princess spent more time together, cooking and doing other activities. Eventually, they both confessed their love for each other, marking the official start of their relationship. As they sat on the couch, relaxed, Princess's phone rang. She answered the call, and her expression changed. Her mother had been taken to the police station. Then the call was cut off. Elvis quickly asked, "What happened?" Princess, shaken, replied, "Your mother has had my mother arrested for stealing from your house." Elvis was in disbelief. "My mother wouldn't do that." They started arguing about what to do next. Princess came to a painful conclusion. The only way to get her mother released was for her and Elvis to break up. This deeply upset Elvis. He went home, packed his bags, and prepared to leave. His mother desperately tried to convince him to stay. Meanwhile, Princess received a call with instructions on where her mother was being held. At the same time, Elvis's mother suddenly started having trouble breathing. She frantically searched for her asthma medication, but it was nowhere to be found. Just as this was happening, Princess, after leaving the station, went straight to Elvis's house to talk to his mother about releasing her own mother. When she entered the house, she found Elvis's mother struggling to breathe. Without hesitation, she helped search for the medication. After a few minutes, she found it and gave it to her. Elvis's mother took the medicine, and after a moment, she finally calmed down. A few days later, Elvis's mother called Princess over and thanked her for saving her life. Princess, in return, thanked her for releasing her mother. Because of this incident, Elvis's mother finally decided to let Elvis and Princess be together. She said, "This is a battle I cannot win. I might as well listen to my son and let him have what he wants." A few days later, she called Princess's mother over and handed her a check for 15 million naira as an apology for everything that had happened. They forgave each other, and laughter filled the room. Life moved on. Princess was finally accepted as the official daughter-in-law. And that's where this movie, Pure Heart, ends. I'm Evans, and this is Nollywood Recapped. Please subscribe and turn on notifications so we can meet again in the next video. Bye-bye.